Okay, I just want to show you briefly what I'm doing with Controller and Raspberry Pi and the Zoom. So if you've been following what I'm up to, we've already got the controller working um, on the Pi. I quite like the Pi because it's small and I can put it in embedded controllers I've got, controller keyboards, and do stuff. Just try and move that to the left a little bit if I can. I don't know. One more bit. I don't know why the fonts are so big on this, but there you are. So here's a brief panel I've set up, and let me just get this into view. So here we have some commands ls-style.shell that we've been working on. So for example, hang on, PCMode On, and that will send this sysx string 52.0.60.52, and PCMode off will send 53. So in controller, what you do is you create a button. So let's look at the PC mode one, and it's basically an on-off toggle button, and you give it a name. So in this case, PC mode, and you also have a modulator name, which is important because I tend to make them the same. It doesn't have to be, and this is for when you come to handle it inside code. If you want to write Lua, which we need to do, or I want to do. The main reason I'm doing is on is 1, off is 0. This makes sense. I've changed the colors. I'm a bit colorblind, but it will go green if the thing is off, and it will go red if it's off and green if it's on. You can see how colorblind I can't even read it. And the states are off, on, and it's a toggle button. So that's the basics of it. What it does under the covers is it creates some XML, and if you're really hardcore, you can edit XML, but I would not recommend that because it's very easy to screw things up. I'd also recommend in your journey with controller, make certain you use Git or some other version control and save your work regularly. These Lua files live inside, I'll show you what I mean by Lua files, but the code that you write lives inside the XML in some respects. But the number of times I've had it crash and I've lost data is huge. So if you put it inside GitHub, your own local GitHub, and use store or Git rather, and you store the commands as you would normally, then at least you can go back to a previous version. It saves you a lot of heartache and crying when you lose your work. Although often I write better code when I do it that way. So if we look inside the panel, we can see the Lua editor. Oh yeah, sorry. So what is Lua? It's a programming language that's been used to facilitate more complex stuff when you're working with controller. And so here you see we've decided to add a method, and the method we add is this the right one? No, that's the main one. I have to click on a button. The method we add on a specific button is handle PC mode. So let's go and look at these Lua editor. And what I've done, I've created a global folder. So you do that by clicking here, right and click, add group, and then you have methods inside. And this debug console, I like using this sort of technique. So what debug console does, it says that it's a global and it takes in the string. And if the debug me is set to true, then it prints the string. Otherwise, it does nothing. Every time you print something on a controller, printing is quite a costly operation and it slows things down. But when you're trying to understand why things aren't working, you really want to be able to look at the values. So if you build it into your code as you work, it makes it easier to debug as you extend panels. So for example, let's look at PC mode. So handle PC mode, I want it to say that if the value is 1, I want to run the method I created PC mode on. Otherwise, and it's a 2 value, turn it off. So PC mode on basically checks if the panel is in the right state. The debug console, if we don't set that debug me on, won't see anything. Then it will send a controller message 52, like we saw in the code. And this one will send 53. So let's check. There we are. Similarly with the editor mode, I think it's 50, 51. So let's just check. Editor mode will send editor mode on or off. Editor mode on sends 50. Editor mode off sends 51. So let's just put this into view for the second. And if we click the editor mode on, you see it changes color, and actually the output of the command line is showing us what's going on. Yeah, so it's showing us that we're sending. Ooh, something came back then. Okay. So the PC mode got a lot of data coming back. Interesting. That could be pretty cool. 45 is a patch. That's probably the current patch that's come back. And actually, this is one of the really slightly annoying things about the Zoom pedal. It has a buffer of commands, and when you switch certain things on, it spits them all out. And this is why I'm trying to create sentences like PC mode on, PC mode off, because I think I found one that drains this buffer, but I'm not certain. So I give it a name, and hopefully it comes back and will get me the data. So now, here we can actually see with this one, something's happening. Yeah, goes off, goes on, okay. But actually, you see what we could do, which is rather kinky. I quite like kinky stuff. Under the console, there are two windows. This is the value. So for example, I could say console, ubiquitous hello world. Okay, and out it comes. Okay, and actually, I'll make a video later on what I did with the K1 panel, because the K1 panel has got 32 little LCD screens, and you can use the Lua itself if you're disciplined in the way you construct your modulators. You can use it to set the properties of this XML I showed you, and that way you can tell it lives on this point of the screen, it has that color, and that made life quite easy for someone like me that wants it ordered in a certain way. I'm not an artist, but I can do math. Yeah. So what was I doing? Debug me equals true. Okay. Now when we go back to look at this button, let's get it so we can see both. PC mode is currently on, so let's click it, and now you see it says PC mode is off, PC mode is on. Debug mode is true. Sorry, we know that. So editor mode is off, editor mode is on. So now you see it makes it easier to look at what's going on. So now what I'll be doing is taking a whole load of these other commands here and turning them into some sort of button or slider or whatever. For example, the volume. Is there a volume one I've got? Yeah. So this one you see takes a hex value and it sends 52.06E, and I can make a variable for this depending on what system you've got. 6403 OA is the volume, and then it sends the hex volume. I need to check because that will only allow 127, but maybe that's right. Actually, we could probably do this. Let's be brave and do it now, just to show you something. Let's try and add. So you right-hand click, add a slider. A UI slider will do. I don't like that style. I think you can change it. So a single click on it. I'll just move it over here for the minute. Again, the layout's not important at this stage. It's called Modulator 1. So why is it called Modulator 1? Because that's there. So we change the name here to let's call it volume for the minute. I don't know if it's the master volume or a per patch volume. And when we do that, nothing's changed there because this is the internal name, and the external name is here. So we say volume. Would help if I could type, and you have to type move off it for it to make a change, which is okay, I guess. Now somewhere down here you get a chance to show the type of slider is there, rotary vertical drag. So I want to go up down, which is vertical there. So now it'll look like that, and maybe I want to make it a little bit bigger. Now we want to be able to send this string, and there is a way in the sysx here of telling it that you want to send, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15. So actually you can just type it in there, make your life easier. 15. And then you should be able to put in here F0, I think you tab, there are. What is it? 52 tab, 00 tab, 6E tab, 64 tab, 03 tab, 00, OA, 00, and then I think you say OY for a variable. 00, 00, 00, 00, F7. Let's just check that. 4 noughts F7, the value, yeah, okay, I think that's it. Okay, now has that done it? I don't, yeah, it's in there. So that says it's got the value coming in, the volume. Ooh, this is everything I don't, my fault, it's not the software's fault. I've moved something and this is moved and now I don't know what's going on. So again, be careful what you click on. And then we have a max and a min somewhere. Slider spring value there, centered. Where's the max and the min gone? Let's just go through it one more time because I find this a bit confusing. 120. Oh, there, maximum value 127. Is that a conscious decision or just because it's MIDI? Quick look. I'm sure you're screaming at me saying you missed it. Yeah, and again, you can make these. For example, I quite like nice numbers, so multiples of 32, say 64. So 120, 64, 64. I quite like 128. So that will change the size, yeah. But again, what you're doing here gets changed in this utility here, and you can ask it to find a modulator with a certain value inside this debug console and then interact it. So one of the beautiful things about Ctrlr itself is you can use the Lua to modify what you're doing on the screen, save regularly in case you screw up or break, but it's pretty cool. Oh, there we are, look, minimum 127. So, okay, that's good for me. So we'll say file, save that. Now, I don't know. Then what you normally do is do Control E to turn it into a mode. I don't know if this is going to change the volume. At the moment, we've done that. So let's turn it off PC mode and make certain the editor is on, which it is. So we'll turn that like that, and I'm not seeing anything happening here. So obviously I've got that wrong. So we'll do the Control E, and let's see if we can work out what I did wrong. Should be send. Oh, I have to select that, otherwise I won't see the right thing. Fair enough. MIDI MIDI, calculate MIDI. Okay. Called to calculate the MIDI value to send. Oh yeah, this is how you could do transforms on the data. But I thought it should just do the right thing. And here you see it has a list of all the variables, all of the Lua methods we've written, but we haven't got one for that at the minute. So we could instead called when the modulator changes. And that's not it. I thought I did it automatically, but maybe I got this wrong. Add message, predefined, whatever. Okay, let's do it the hard way, yeah? Let's do it the hard way. Let's pick this formula up here, so you can just basically Control C it. And what we'll do is called when the value changes. Where do we have that? I know you can do it with that value there. Called to calculate, called when the modulator changes. Okay, so we'll create a method, handle volume, say. Now when you create a new method, it does get created in the global, and you then have to go and set it, otherwise it's not set. So now we go into here. Where's the handle volume gone? I don't see it. Let's just refresh it. There. Where's that gone? Let's put it under the MIDI methods. No, I have to highlight that. That's it. That's it. And now we can double click on it, and we can put that in like that. So that's what we want. Two for comment. And then we go into handle editor mode. We edit that one. We grab, no, handle PC mode. PCMode on. Ah, there we are. That's what we want. So we want this. This is what we want. So we just want this code like that. Control C, handle volume. We drop that in there, and handle volume. You get the idea now. Oops. And here we actually want to send this MIDI message. So, boom, 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 boom. So the easiest thing we do now is to find a panel that I prepared earlier and have a look at how I did it there. So let's look at panel Lua editor. See if we can find one where we've handled the volume. So edit more rename patch. Dum 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 dum. That doesn't look like it. Choose zone note. That doesn't look like it. Get note. Okay, see if we can find handle panel MIDI message. No. Handle, that's that one. K1 check return. No. Update that. No, these are all rather cool. I want to find one where I'm getting the value and I'm modifying it. Request multi-patch. Ah, here we are. Percent that. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So what I'll do is I'll put that to one side. Come on, get smaller. Okay. Go back to that one. Controller. So this is where I want to put the thing, but we want to use this sort of format. So local sysx equals that, panel send that. So hang on, we just control copy that. Patch node deck. Yeah, now that one there, I'm actually trying to pull a number out. This should be okay because we're reading a value directly in. So we should be okay with that. So we control C. We move to our next window, which is that one. It's much easier when the font is smaller. Handle volume. Make that a little bit bigger so we can see it. Let's come into here, get over that way a little bit. I'm going to put it under here for the minute, Control V. And what we want to do is this sort of stuff here, Control X. And in here we want to do that. And the local sysx is going to be Control C, Control V, to value there, and then it's that lot. Control C, Control V, and it's value that's going to go in there, value. So what it says is read the value in and stick it into there in a hex format. Now we don't want console sysx, we want debug console sysx, because again printing this is quite complicated. And then how did we send the sysx? We just said sysx, did we? Yeah. So now we just say sysx, close that bracket, we don't need that. That should be it. So now we can file, save and compile all. If I could work out how to get that smaller, I would. It's gone full mode. I don't know how to get rid of it. Okay, let's go back to the hard way. We got that there, make that a bit smaller. Okay, we got the debug console. So let's just check debug me is true. So now what we want to do is to bring up a panel. It's got to be that one. Okay, there. So now if we put that there, if we move that, oh, I've been in the Control E mode, sorry. Then when we move that, are we seeing any change? Still not seeing any change at this point. Okay, Control E, again, go back to that mode. Let's try and work out, are we indeed sending? Because oftentimes you saw me set the value, handle volume, there we are. Handle volume. So handle volume, and let's turn off the sysx here because it's not doing anything. No, it's not actually in the list, to be fair. That's a good point. It's not actually in the list. I wonder if that's the problem. No, okay, we'll forget that. I'll come back to that. Just single click that, delete. I wonder if that was the problem. Normally I expect it to be able to tell me to do something with it, yeah? And then it should turn up here and there, but it's not working. Paste from clipboard, no. Okay, one last check. So that should be sending the value through, the modulator value, okay? So are we seeing handle volume? Let's just check what handle volume does. Takes the value, blah, 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 local sysx is that, format that, do that. I don't think I need anything more than that. I don't think I need to have anything special. Where's string? String isn't imported. So that should be okay. So now, if I can work out what made that get smaller. Pi, let's go back to my, let's go back there to that one. I want to see what's happening in the window. Okay, so there's that window there. And let's get to that thing. So now when we find the panel, we should be able to just close that a second because that's got too big. All right, that's better. Should have done that ages ago. Okay, sorry about that. Let's put that like that. That's there. So now we should be able to tell it to do something. There's the panel. Control E. Ah, there we are, but that's sending B0, B1. Why is it doing that? That's not what I expected it to do. Yeah, that's sending a control change. And what am I seeing in my console? I'm seeing it's not being run according to that. Yeah, so handle volume says debug console handle volume. Okay. If panel that. So I don't think it's actually attached properly to the panel. Let's go back to the panel. What I can sometimes do is to file close that. Yeah, cancel. Let's save it first of all. Save. Close. Yes. File. Open recent. That one. Come on, you can do it. Open recent. That one. There we are. Okay. Ah, now it's doing it, yeah? So that's the other thing I noticed. So sorry about that. I went into detail, but I wanted to show you some of the pain you get. It wasn't doing anything, and then it was, yeah? So now it's sending the volume. What's interesting is that value is going up and down there. Look, the 010 here. This is going up, 301. And I'm not quite sure whilst that's doing that. I need to debug that because I don't think that's right. In the meantime, we're not seeing it. So let's put the volume up at 127. Let's see if we can find what the volume is. I think it's under the settings, isn't it? Patch, which is number 2. And again, level 120. So that makes me out to be a liar. So maybe that's not doing what I think it's doing. Let's do it again. Patch. Ah, 44. It's changed. What do I have? 44. There we are. Okay, so let's put it to 16. Okay, try it again. Settings. Boom, boom. Ooh. 16. Okay, it is working. It's just at the max. Where's it? Where at the moment? 89. So the max is probably like 120, I guess. That's my problem. Yeah, so let's put it all the way to the top, 127. And we think we're at 120. So let's put it to 119. Okay, and go into that. Okay, so I think that so we do Control E, make that a bit wider, click on that. Come on, you can do it, Dave. Click on there. There we are. There we are. I think the problem here is the maximum is 120. So we come down here. No, it was part way up. There. And then we can type here 120. And that's it. Now we can file save that. So that was a bit problematical for me. I haven't used this for a while. But now we have the volume done. Now, of course, it's not going to look like this. I'm not a graphic artist. I'm sorry about that. And what I'll do is I'll work on more of this stuff. And once I get there, I'll hand it out to the community and they can do what they like with it. But yeah, that's basically what you do. And the next thing I'm going to do is to try and get it to read in data from the pedal and use these utilities to see if I can't get Ctrlr to automatically do the 7 to 8. On my previous panels I did it myself, but it looks like there's a routine that was written by Adam ages ago, and I might as well use it because it could be easier. Okay, thank you for watching, and as I do more, I'll release more parts to this. Cheers, bye.